Welcome back, everyone. So our next session is actually a session I'm quite excited about. It's life hacks for people who are blind or who have low vision. One of my colleague directors, Helen Freris, who's also the chair of the BCA Engage committee, is going to facilitate the session. But before I throw to the session, while I've got a little bit of the floor, I just want to talk a little bit about, because we all have our subconscious tips and tricks that we use ourselves. My job, I spend quite a bit of time in meetings, and whether it be Zoom or whether they be face-to-face, I need to be quite organised. And especially with the face-to-face meetings, I'll always try and get there early. I'll make sure I sit in the seat where the windows are behind me so that I'm not staring into the glary window for the meeting. I especially want to know where the toilets are so I don't get caught short, so that I'm not stressed, trying to find the toilet when I need to go. Finding the toilet obviously can be quite a visual thing for other people. They just quickly go out and they find it, bang, they're there. But for myself, if I'm at the meeting early, I can tell when people are coming into the session. They'll introduce themselves, they'll sit at a particular area, and I've got a much better understanding of knowing who's who in the room. And whereas when I'm late to a meeting, I certainly know that it's not as effective for me, and I'm trying to sort of catch up. So that was just my little life hack that I didn't even realise that I did until I sort of sat down with Helen a week or so ago and tried to work out a bit of an example for myself. And I know that that's something I subconsciously do. So Helen, I'll throw it over to you now. Thanks very much, Helen.
Thank you, Doug, and hello everyone. It's really nice to be speaking to you. I was initially a bit daunted by the opportunity to host this session, only because I know that being the last session, it's the time when people take off. But I'm really hoping that you'll stay around, or lots of us will stay around and have a very helpful discussion about life hacks, as Doug has said, and as Julie and Julianne and Tim were saying at the start of the session this morning. Life hacks are so second nature to us that we don't realise that we've created them and that we use them. And they just indicate how inventive we can be as people, particularly people who are blind and vision impaired. So what I'm going to do, this way the session will run, is I'll share a couple of life hacks that I have to get us started. And then I'll open up the session, and hopefully a few people will join us and it'll be a discussion. So first of all, though, I'd like to acknowledge that I'm coming from the land of the Wurundjeri and Bunurong people of the Kulin Nation, and recognising that we're all coming from different lands this afternoon. So some life hacks that I have, a couple. So one that I really like is the use of adhesive dots or sticky dots. You might have seen them at hardware stores, $2 shops, supermarkets. They're not very expensive. Basically, they're rubber dots, sort of circular in shape, and they have adhesive sort of on the back, and you pull off the back of each dot, and basically they'll stick to different surfaces. So you can use them, or I use them for marking, labeling things temporarily or permanently. I have a few in different bags, so a packet of these dots in different bags. We're hearing a lot about bags today because they're so useful, but I've labeled keyboards with them to find, for orientation. On the keyboard I've got in front of me has the shift key with one of these sticky dots on it. I've got them, I label, the shampoo or the conditioner. If I'm going away in a hotel and I've identified them, I can just put a sticky dot on one of the bottles and off I go. They're endlessly useful, and I think they're supposed to be used for situations where you're wanting to prevent furniture from being marked by vases or walls damaged by paintings. But as blind people, we know the real reason for their invention, which is to help us sort of mark things. So that's a life hack that I found. Another one, probably not so much a life hack as a lazy hack for me. I recently I was using some sweet potato in a recipe and decided that actually physically chopping up the sweet potato, which is quite stiff, if anyone's ever tried it, wasn't in my job description for life. So I put it in the blender, and it created a very nice mash for a curry. A lot less work. and less danger of a knife slipping because of the density of the vegetable that was being chopped. So they're just a few to get us started. So I wonder if anyone would like to share one of their life hacks, and the way that we'll proceed is we'll just listen to what people are saying, and remembering that each life hack is different for everyone, and some of them might be we might find really helpful, others we might find not so useful, but it really is up to each of us as individuals to use and learn what we need.
Helen, we already have some hands raised.
Wonderful. Brilliant. Who we
the
got?
First hand is Christy.
Wonderful. Thanks, Christy. Welcome.
Thank you. I've got a life hack that I use. The family bought me a certain cup that I use, and when I'm making a drink out of the kettle, you can actually, instead of using a liquid level, you can actually hear the water going into the cup.
Wow.
And the sound changes when it gets closer to the top.
Brilliant. We're going to be accused of, commercial conflict of interest here. So I wonder, people are going to be recommending all these wonderful products, and I wonder if we can find out where to get them, and I don't know, BCA update or something.
I don't know where the one came from that I got, but the family bought it for me, so.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
But I can find that out.
Yes. Thanks, Chrissy. I'm sure BCA would love to hear from you.
Yeah, please email us at bca@bca.au to let us know where you purchased your life hack from.
Wonderful.
The next hand we have raised is Katrina Taylor.
Katrina, welcome. How are you?
Good afternoon, everyone, and greetings from a very windy Western Victoria. My tip is actually a kitchen one. So this is for when you've got that new bag of sugar, frozen peas, whatever it is to open, and you don't want to spill everything everywhere. So I hold the bag upright, open the top drawer, sit the bag upright in it, holding onto the top, and then gently close it so the drawer and the edge of the bench are holding the bag in place. That lets me hold onto the top of the bag with one hand, grab the pair of scissors with the other, snip off the top, put the scissors down, and then grab hold of the bag with both hands, keeping the opening closed, of course, and gently remove it out of the drawer. Problem solved. No spills.
Beautiful. That's very helpful.
Thanks, Katrina. Our next hand raised is Tiffy.
Tiffy, welcome.
Hi, Helen. I live on my own in what I call the heavy metal cottage, and what I have done, this is before Howie, who was like a father figure, passed away. I have a steam mop. It's a Euroflex. They've changed the name now. What I do now is when I need to put the water in, I unscrew the cap, obviously, but because those stupid jugs, they don't have a lid on them, so you can't sort of pour the spout, from the thing. So what I do is I fill up a Cook and Dine empty sauce bottle, which you can't get anymore, which is a pain in the backside. I filled it up with water and then try to put the spout into the hole. It can be difficult because the hole is very narrow, and then I squeeze it until I hear the hiss of the water entering the tank, and then when I don't hear the hiss anymore, I stop because I know it's going to get up to the top. I do the same with the anti-bac tank, but that's more difficult because the hole is almost like a funnel. So I just sort of put a tiny little squirt in there and I know that's in there. So that's something that you might want to give a try. Just another quick hack. If you're using a pot with a lid, I only found this out a month ago. I've just recently got a new pot. When I first tried to use the pot and I needed to put the lid in the sink so I could stir the food, I didn't realize I had it upside down. The water, the condensation and the sauce went everywhere on the floor. So about a week ago, I thought, this is ridiculous. So I turned the lid up facing me, the inside facing me. That way the sauce and any sauce that's left in the lid and the water or the condensation, whatever it is, stays in there. And then when you go to the sink, you put the lid down in the sink, you take the spoon, stir the food, put the spoon back in the sink, and then you put the lid back on. having had the lid up while you're carrying it, because if you've got the lid down and it's going everywhere, you don't know until you're all of a sudden standing in a puddle of whatever. And I just found that that's really useful, and I've taught myself those 2 hacks.
Thank you, Tiffy. That's fantastic. Thanks for sharing
You're welcome.
those.
You're welcome.
Our next hand raised is Connor.
Connor, welcome.
Hi there, Helen.
Hi.
Yeah, so my 2 are pretty. They might not appeal to everybody, but I've guide dogs, so but I'm a big fan of straws, and I don't like to use lots of plastic, and the paper straws are crap. So what I do, I bought myself a reusable straw that's like metal and silicone. It actually unsnaps like a cane, and it's in a little holder. And I've actually cable tied that to my treat bag. So it means when I'm going out, nobody needs to hand me straws. I don't need to use plastic straws or any of that kind of stuff. And then I can clean it myself. And I've probably not used about 1,000, 2,000 straws at this point. So that's pretty handy. And the other one that I have is I went to Kathmandu, and they have a lot of camping gear which can fold into its own pocket. So I have a backpack that can fold into one of its own pockets, so it doesn't have to take up space.
Wow.
It can go into another bag, and they even have the same with a raincoat. So if I'm ever out with my guide dog and I'm carrying stuff around naturally for her, I can, pack my raincoat into its own pocket. I can pack the bag that the raincoat is in into its own pocket. So yeah, that's pretty handy too.
Right. Thank you, Connor. Thank you for sharing those.
And Kathy Horner.
Kathy, how are you?
Okay, I use a cup with with 3 clips on it to heat up my cups of tea in the microwave that are usually made for me, but I can heat them up. And it's very useful because it saves someone having to make a cup of tea for me. I also use a Telstra Easy Call phone, and I use a laptop and a Victor Reader Stream for reading and for doing work and singing.
Thanks, Kathy. That's really helpful. I think everyone's got so many great ideas.
Katrina Taylor.
Hey, Katrina, another one.
Oh, did we lose Katrina?
Yeah, no, sorry, I'm back. I must have accidentally not put my hand down. Don't you love technology?
Okay, sorry.
But that's okay. I do actually have a second one, which is I have more than one cat. So to be able to easily identify the cats, because they're not always obvious by their colour of their fur or touch, everybody has a different textured collar. So if I reach out during the night and find a cat, I can tell by the collar who it is. Also, they've got different sounding bells, so I know who's around. And more importantly, when there's a crime being committed, I know who to yell at.
Great,
and
thank you.
I will take my hand down now. Sorry.
Very helpful. Thanks,
Stephen
Katrina.
Belbin.
Stephen, welcome. What have you got for us?
Stephen, you're still on mute there. All right, we might go to the next one and come back to Stephen. Iris Wilson.
Iris, what would you
I'm
like
back
to...
again. Oh, sorry.
Oh, okay. Shall we go with Stephen and then Iris?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I'm jinxed. I'm sorry.
No,
Do you want me to go or wait for this in person?
No, we want to hear your life hack.
Okay, let's go while it works.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm the person that usually gets that is in charge of locking down at night, locking doors and closing down blinds and whatever. And we've got windows that are ceiling to floor, so it's really important to have them right to the floor to keep the heat in at night if you're heating and so forth, but also to keep any sun out. If you pull them down too far, obviously the blinds hit the ground and they come out a bit and let the heat out, the sun in the morning, all that stuff. So simple thing I worked out was just to put your foot so that your toes are touching the skirting board, and just pull the blind down till it touches the top of your foot, and it's spot on about where it should be, not touching the floor, but down far enough to cover all the anything from outside, be it heat escaping or glare coming in.
Great.
So it doesn't cost you anything for that one.
That's it. Thank you, Stephen. All right, Iris.
There's some music going. Is that supposed to be going or?
I don't know. My time hasn't come.
Okay.
Iris, do you want to rescue us from the music and share your life hack?
I'll try. Now, I've got a couple. I'll try and be as quick as I can. One of them is probably one that people are familiar with. Some people. I have iOS devices, but I can choose to use either speech or my Braille display, which is a Braille Sense Polaris Mini. Now, the beauty of that is it's a computer in its own right, as well as being a Braille display. So if I want to send a text to someone and I'm in, say, a waiting room or a crowded place, I can see what I'm doing without having to have all in sundry sort of hear what's going on, and I don't have to listen to my speech. And I find that really handy. Also looking at emails and stuff like that, things that I need to read thoroughly. And it makes me feel sort of more mainstream because I'm not relying on speech. It's almost like I'm seeing it in front of me. Another one I do a lot of cooking, and I find that it takes me forever to chop up, say, onions, carrots, that sort of thing. And I think we got the last one from a kitchen place in Ballarat. It's like a nicer dicer, so you've got different attachments that can sort of attach to the thing. It's a container with a hinged lid, and so in the hinged lid is a section where you put a different blade for whatever different dicing or cutting feature you want, and then you just put the onion or whatever on the blade, on the top of the blade. It's not dangerous though. You're not going to likely to cut your hand. And then you press the lid down and it dices it in one sort of push, and it goes into the container, so there's no mess anywhere either. I find that only takes 5 minutes, whereas cutting it with a knife, well, you do have to cut it in half often, but that's about it. That's the only incision you've got to make with a knife. And the other one is I hate using a normal kettle or a liquid level indicator, because I find, I don't know about the new ones, but the older ones, the batteries used to be quite unreliable. And if you have things that are sensitive, like you have cloths or something on that touch it, it can sort of go off and you can't stop it, and it flattens the battery. So what I use now is you used to be able to get a really good one from Tefal that you could just press the button and it fills up the water, fills up the cup for you. But I've got one now that's because you can't get the Tefal ones anymore. I've got one from, I think it's a Westinghouse brand. You used to be able to get them. I think you could get them from places like The Good Guys, I think, had them. Harvey Norman might have them. And basically, the button, there's 4 buttons on it, and they're marked. Like when I say they're marked, they've got to, you have to memorize where they are, but it's only 4 simple controls: unlock, temperature, volume, and then start, stop. And they've each got like a little square marking that's slightly raised, so you can control your temperature, how much water you want, and yeah, that kind of thing. I just find that you put the cup on the thing, you unlock it and you turn it on, and you can, go and do other things. You're not having to wait for the kettle to boil and all that kind of thing. The only problem I find with this particular type of device is you have to remember which setting you've got it on. Although if you turn it off at the wall and you turn it on again, everything goes back to 0, so you have to reset it. But once it's set, if you leave it set, well, you're pretty much set for cups of tea, coffee, whatever you like.
Great. Thanks, Iris. And I've written down nicer dicer for further investigation on my part. So thank you for that.
The next hand raised is Jan Miller.
Jan, hello. Welcome.
I've got two very quick ones for the kitchen. One of them is using a vegetable peeler for other things other than scraping carrots and potatoes. If you want just some quick, very finely shredded cheese on a salad, just grab your block of cheese and do a few swipes with your vegetable peeler, and there you are. But the other one is using an ice cream scoop for anything but ice cream. I use mine for dishing up from casseroles. I use it for scoops of mashed potato and rice, or anything like that you want it to come in a nice, neat blob on your plate, and that you're getting more in the scoop than just an ordinary tablespoon or dessert spoon. So they're basic items, but my kitchen wouldn't be without one.
Great. Thanks, Jan. Anything that saves time in the kitchen is good. Thanks, Jan.
Next is Chelsea Bartlett.
Chelsea, that's just nice to speak to you.
Hi, Helen.
Hello.
I've got a couple. One that I use is one that I use in the office as well. If I've got hot cups of tea and stuff, I tend to use a travel mug. So then I have a lid on it, so then I know that I'm carrying a mug and it's not going to go everywhere or burn myself, whatever, when I'm carrying cups of tea one spot to another. And then another thing that I use, because I've still got a little bit of vision, is in the kitchen as well. I have different coloured coded chopping knives and boards. So I generally have dark benches, but they come in all different colours, and they're really good that you can, for different things that you're using as well. So you can, I think they come in like red, green and white, or I can't remember all of them, but they're really good for colour contrast when you're trying to cut different sorts of things.
Thanks, Tracy. They're both really useful suggestions.
Tristan Clare.
Easy. Tristan, hello.
Hello. Okay, so my first one is a laundry hack, and it is when I first moved out of home and had to start dealing with doing washing and things like that, I found pouring from the fabric softener bottle, which has a wide sort of neck, into my first washing machine had a little hole for the fabric, and I had to go just in there. And I found that really tricky without making a huge mess. So I came upon the hack of decanting the fabric softener into one of those pop-top drink bottles, the ones that you take on hikes and things like that. So that way it only had to come out of a really small hole, and it just went in beautifully. So I have to source a few of those. My last one broke last week when it hit the floor, and fabric softener everywhere. So that was the downside. But yeah, that was, and my other laundry hack, I find ironing on an ironing board tricky. I know there's blind people that have mastered it, but I just haven't. So I use a garment steamer. So that's basically, instead of having the clothes lying flat on the ironing board, it looks like a big coat hanger with a drum attached to it. So you have your clothes hanging vertically, so you iron them the way they would fall if they were hanging in your cupboard. And it means you can touch it as you go, so you can feel if it's been ironed as you're ironing it. And the coat hanger revolves around, so you can do the front, the back, the sides, the works. So yeah, I find, especially summer, I wear a lot of skirts made of really thin material that crushes. So yeah, it does a really good iron. So they're my two.
Excellent. Thank you. That's really creative.
Janine Sadu.
Janine, welcome.
Hi, Helen. Hi, everyone. Just two hacks. One for the kitchen. I have trouble eating long spaghetti. I haven't mastered the twirling it on your fork bit, never will. So I break up very big pasta into smaller pieces before putting it in the pot to cook. My other one, if it's interesting to anyone, is the waste bins. We have a lot in our street. We have 3 bins and there's a lot around. So what I did, and they're different colours, but that's not good for me, tie a piece of thick string onto the bar of my bins, and two are the same size. So I put one tie on one and two ties on the other, so I can get my bins, know where they are by the string on them.
Yes, that's very interesting and helpful for a lot of people, I'm sure. Thanks, Janine. Jamal, welcome.
G'day. I got some travel tips.
Excellent.
I personally don't like to travel. I'm going to turn my camera on actually. I personally don't like to travel a whole lot with if I'm flying, I don't like to bring luggage with me if I can avoid it. So I tend to travel a lot with a backpack. So what I use these sorts of travel cubes, which I'm holding up here. If anybody has some remaining sight left, they can see it on the screen. And it's pretty much it just looks like a bag. They're just like little bags. And it helps for organization. So I have a big one for like my shirts and jeans, and this smaller one for like, say, underwear and socks and singlets or whatever it might be. And they're pretty cool because the way they work is you open them up and you put all your items inside, and then you zip them up to close them. But then it also has like a compression zipper. So you can actually fit like quite a fair bit of clothes into like these pretty small bags. And it makes it so when you travel with a backpack, you actually have quite a bit of like clothing with you. So like I can travel probably with maybe like 3 to 5 days worth of clothes in a backpack without much issue. And that way I don't have to worry about trying to find a luggage bag in the carry-ons, you know, in the through the carousel and things like that. I find that quite difficult. So my best way to get around that is just to not have one at all. Another tip I'd recommend is using the air tags that Apple produce. And I figured this out recently. I was staying in a hotel room and I'd found the elevator to get to where I needed to be, but I'd gotten up an elevator that I hadn't taken before. So I knew I was on the right floor of where I needed to be, but I had no idea where I was on that floor. So I had to try and find my room again. And I had one of these air tags left in my bag. So then I pulled my phone up, found the air tag and just tracked it around. So I just walked around the corridors of the hotel until I got close to my air tag, and then I found my room, and then off I was. So they're my 2 tips.
Thanks, Jamal. The bags that you were describing, just for people who perhaps couldn't see them on the screen, are they particular? Do they have a particular name or particular brand or something?
Yep. So if you just look up on Amazon, you can look up the words packing cubes.
Packing cubes.
They'll come up. The ones I have are by a company called Peak Design. They're a bit expensive. There are cheaper options, but they all do the same thing.
Wonderful. Thank you. We're breaking, this is not like the ABC where you can't mention products. We're breaking all those rules today because it's really helpful for people. They're great tips, and it's really helpful for people to know where to go for these solutions that I'm sure we'll all find helpful. I'm writing notes about this session. So thank you, Jamal.
I've got a life hack that I've just started realizing.
Sorry, just to interrupt. Can I ask who's speaking?
My name's Nidhi.
Welcome.
Karen from BCA Sydney.
Hi.
Hi. I mean, it might be new for some. It might be an old trick for some people, but for me, it's new. I've got a sort of slightly thicker cane now with a long hand with a ball at the end. It's not for people who have total vision loss, but a slightly thicker cane that is used for depth perception, which is 125 centimeters long. And so I used it while a stainless steel container was wedged between 2 drawers in between the gap. And so it was not flat, so I flattened it with moving it under the container and flattening it in the drawer, and then I pushed the cane inside the drawer with the drawer open and pushed it out again with my hands.
Great.
Without injuries.
Even better. Thank you.
Our next hand raised is Elliot Agnew.
Elliot, welcome.
Hi there. I have 2 tips. So number one, I do use my cane to get things from under my bed quite often. If I drop them down, I use the big ball to hook them and drag them out. And number 2, I use pods for doing my laundry and for my dishwasher now, because it is quite difficult to get the appropriate measurements. They are a bit more expensive, but the fairy dishwasher pods are quite good, and the pods for the washing machine as well for my laundry. So they're my 2 favorite chores in the house, and it makes it a lot easier to to avoid pouring things in.
Lovely, thank you.
Angela, do you have a question on behalf of a member?
I sure do, Naomi. Thank you. And yeah, thanks, Helen. So Natasha Anderson has sent in an email letting everyone know, and I'm not quite sure whether it's the same or similar product that Iris was talking about, but I'll share it anyway. So it helps to make coffee and hot chocolate, and it's called a dispenser. So you fill the back or the top with cold or tap water, and it's dependent on the model that you have, whether it's at the back or at the top. And then there's a button at the front of the machine that then pours the hot water out. So you put in the cold water and it comes out hot, so nice and safe as well. Yeah, it's not boiling hot, but it's hot enough for a hot chocolate or a coffee. And you can buy them at places like Harvey Norman and those types of stores. So yeah, hopefully that's helpful. And thanks, Natasha, for sharing your life hack.
Thank you. Thanks.
Excuse me,
Natasha.
can I just have a comment?
Yeah, sure.
Can I just, it's Natasha here.
Hello.
From Deception Bay. I just wanted to make a comment about that. With the device, with mine, I just when you press it once, it does 1 cup. When you press it twice, one button. It's got 1 button. So when you press it once, it does 1 cup. When you press it twice, it does continual. And then when you press it again, like just once, it turns off. So yeah.
Very easy. Thank you. And that's a timely reminder that for anyone who would prefer to send through your life hacks through the BCA phone number, 1800 033 660, or the text 0436 446 780, or email bca@bca.org.au. We're very happy to hear. We've got time for a couple more, I think. Is that right, Naomi?
We do. It's 3 minutes past 3, so we've got about 7 minutes left.
Yes.
And the next hand raised is Jennifer Parry.
All right, Jennifer, what would you like to?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, you can.
Oops, sorry.
Welcome.
I'll just start lowering the hand. Mine was about we all have really important contacts amongst many, many other contacts in our phone or on a device. My tip is please remember to have a backup of that somewhere, whether it be on another device, in Braille, large print. There's nothing worse than, for instance, if your device's battery goes flat, you're in a situation where you need someone to contact someone and you don't have access to it. So that's probably just a preparedness / emergency safety thing. That's it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thanks, Jennifer. That's a really good reminder for us all.
Jane Britt.
Hello, Jane.
Yes, hello. I had a couple. One was also a travel hack, very similar to what has been talked about. I was going to mention AirTag, but when you get the luggage, I realised very recently when I came off a flight that the tag I'd attached to the side was the same colour as what other people had on their bags. So the person pulling my luggage off kept checking all the bags. So I realised at that point it really needed to be textured so that I could check it as well once it was off the carousel. So I've since had a bit of textured fabric sewn onto it, so you can sort of feel it. It's a bit bumpy, and it means I can check it as well to make sure that the bag that has been pulled off is indeed mine. The two others I was going to say was about being a white cane user. One of these was that next to a doorway, I saw this at someone else's house and I thought the idea was great. I now have a similar thing here, where on the wall, it's actually attached to the wall. It's like a sort of bit of wood, but it has like a section that if you had a pool cue, like what you play snooker with, it could attach in there. So instead the cane is attached in there. So it's near the front door. So if you have to evacuate, you can grab the cane, but it's also out of the way. So it's not a trip hazard.
Great.
The other one was I have a small clip, a little bulldog clip attached to the bottom of my cane, and I have a torch attached to that. And it's pointed down towards the ground, so it can the button can be pressed. And if I want a little bit of light in a low light setting, having some residual vision, I can turn it on.
Very good. Thank you for those.
Christy,
and just a reminder that if we're not speaking, if we can be on mute, just so that it makes it easier for everyone to hear, and for the recording subsequently that's going to be created from this session. Thanks, Christy.
Another hack I have is one that when you're having fizzy drink, there's a lid you can get that you can put on top of cans and it turns it into a bottle top.
Yes.
I don't know where you get them from though.
Yes, I've been looking around for those. So if anyone has information, gladly received, I'm sure.
Jamal with another hack.
Jamal, what would you like to contribute?
Yep. Jane just reminded me of a hack that I do, which I haven't really thought about up until now. But I have my cane with me here, and what I like to do is if I ever need like access to like both my hands, say I'm at a store or whatever it might be, I've figured out a way to sort of like hang my cane either off my belt loop or off like if I have like a sling bag or something like that across my chest. And so what I do is I'll take my cane and I'll break it down so that it's folded down, and then I will take the rope that connects to the cane and I'll make sure that it is pointing upwards, and I'll loop it through, say like my belt, and then I will simply like close the cane off, like like wrap the loop around the cane so that it's around my belt or around my sling bag, and pretty much just leave it hanging off whatever it is I'm wearing.
Brilliant.
So it's like a quick way to get the cane out of your hands and have full reign of your hands.
Yes. Very good. Thank you.
No worries.
Tiffy.
Yes. Now, I just have one more quick hack. If anyone like me is trying to fill up a stupid Dettol bottle, that because a lot of them are very narrow. What I do, again, I've got those extra sauce bottles. I put I have the refill. I put the soap from the refill into the sauce bottle. Then I unscrew the bottle from the pump. I put the soap from the sauce bottle, using the spout, that the little skinny spout, from that bottle into the pump bottle, and that way I'm not trying to do two holes that are exactly the same and they don't work. When I tried to do the refill and the pump, it just didn't work. So I did this one and it just works like a charm.
Excellent. Thank you.
All right, we probably got time for
just one or two very quick ones.
Susan Thompson.
Hi there. Jamal, it's great to hear your voice if you're who I think you are. You gave me actually another idea regarding, often when you're in a professional meeting and you're trying to network and people go, oh, do you want a chair? But what you want to do is you want to stand up and kind of mingle and socialise with everyone else. But of course, you've got your cup of tea and your plate of food and your cane and the whole bit. So another idea, in addition to Jamal's, is that you can actually buy something called a cane clip. And what this is, it's got a little clip on it that you push onto your cane. You leave your cane kind of in its upright position. You clip this clip onto it and you can slide the clip down and slip it if you got trousers on, or if you can, I don't know, quite a belt or whatever, you can loop it over, and it's actually got a magnet on it that holds it together. So you can basically have your cane upright beside you and be hanging onto your cup of tea and your food and whatever, and standing up talking to people. It's a really, really nifty little gadget.
Thank you. Is that an adaptive device that can?
Yeah, look, I think I got one from Guide Dogs. I don't know whether they're available at Vision Australia or some of the other agencies or not, but they're a terrific little gadget.
Great. I'm sure we can follow up. Thank you.
And they're called cane clips.
Cane clips. Thank you, Susan. All right, just one final life hack.
We do. Connor Smith.
Connor, welcome.
Yep. Just one more. It's kind of a cheap way to iron clothes, I found, as a single bachelor. If you bring your clothes on their clothes hangers into the bathroom with you while you're having a shower, the shower will steam them and the creases will fall out. So there you go.
I like it. I like it too. As I'm sure many people would. Thank you. Thank you to everyone who's shared so many creative and interesting life hacks. It just shows how inventive we can be as people, and we've gone all around the house. We've heard of life hacks in the kitchen, the laundry, and when we're navigating the world. So thank you. I'll hand back to Doug this stage, I think.
Thanks very much, Helen. Helen, will we be collating all of those tips and tricks?
We certainly will be. Yes. So as saying at the start, we'll be collating all of these. Of course, the recording will be available, but we'll also bring them together maybe for a member update or even something on the website. I'm not sure yet what we'll do to bring them together. And we might get some information about the products as well that people have recommended, so that that can be shared across our membership and beyond.
Brilliant. And